Welcome to the warehouse, everyone. Today we're going to unbox a 24-inch Trax, which we just barely got in. We're super excited about that, this model. So let's jump into it. These are the tools that we're going to be using. Just a basic knife, little Allen set. I like to use these. There'll be a tool set in the box, but I like to use these to make it a little easier. And then a pair of dikes. So pretty simple. But yeah, let's dig in. First thing we're going to want to do is obviously cut all the straps, the tape, the packing, and then you'll notice all the black foam. So I'm just going to roll this box. I'm just going to roll it over, and it's easier if you have two people. Multiple people make this a lot easier, but you can do it by yourself if you have to. So just I'm gonna roll this down. And roll this up so the box just comes off the top. There we go. And again, like I said, it's easier if you have two people, but it can be done by yourself. Just gotta kind of work it back and forth. And I did notice these boxes are a little bit shorter than the original Trax, which was a 26-inch tire bike as we were unloading them. So, okay, and as I lift the box up, I'm gonna use my legs to kind of stabilize this so it doesn't fall over. And just gonna set this box over here so I can have it to set garbage in. Okay, now I'm going to lay the bike down on its, you'll see there's one side that's got the rim and the rim up here in the starter kit. So we want, going to pull this out. Now, this is why I like to use these nips. We call them nips. You can call them whatever you want. If you use a knife, you run the risk of damaging the tire, so it's just easier to take something like this or a pair of scissors or something to get in there and cut these bands to get these off. So I'm gonna pull this tire off, get rid of this little protector right here. Let's set this foam off to the side. And so this is our first look at the 24-inch Trax. Okay. All right. Now it'll balance like this. You may want to lean it up against a wall or something just to make sure it doesn't fall over. You don't want to damage your new bike. So I'm gonna set it over here for just a second while I finish pulling the stuff out and getting it ready for the final assembly. Let's grab the seat. So this is what's in the starter kit. Now, I should have mentioned this before I pulled the box open. You've got QR code here. You've got serial numbers for all these different parts of the bike. So you've got your key number right there, your motor number, your controller. So all these things, you want to hang on to this. You've got a sticker just like this on the outside of the box, but you can pull that one off and save it if you want to, but this one comes in the kit. So definitely set that aside and hang on to that. If you ever have problems and you need to get a hold of Cyrusher, you can use that to identify which parts you have, which model, all that stuff. Okay, so here's our pedals. Get these ready to put on. There's an extra set of brake pads, and this has all the little bolts to hold the front tire on. So I'm just gonna set all this stuff right here. All right, so it looks like this is already put together. So you got your washer in here, and then so you got your bolt, washer, and then it goes, make sure that the part with the ridge is on the outside. So you got your star washer, and the ridges to the outside. This one's already on there, so good. These are, like I said, there's some extra parts in here, so just kind of set those aside for now. These are the two that, in fact, I'll just take them and throw them on the front wheel while I have them in my hand. So I'm just gonna put them on and just loosely thread them in, just so they're on, just ever so slightly. And get this side. That one, kind of tell it was cross-threaded a bit, so let's make sure they're not cross-threaded. You don't want to do that. Okay. Now I'm going to set that aside. So this is the kit I was talking about. It has the 3, 4, and 5 millimeter wrenches. I prefer just to use these. It's a lot easier to reach in, but you can totally use that. You'll need these wrenches to put the pedals on. In here, while we're going through stuff, so you got some mirrors you can throw on there if you'd like. Here's your headlight. We'll get that mounted. An extra reflector, you can put that on the seat post if you want. And then in here is the charger. So just use this to charge up the battery, obviously. Pretty simple. Plug it in, plug this into the outlet in the wall, and you should have a green light when this is plugged in, and then when you plug it into the battery, when it's charging, it'll go red. When it's done, it'll go green. Just some simple battery maintenance tips. If you're going to be storing the bike for a long term, like through a winter, if you're not going to be riding for a few weeks, you want to make sure you get it at 50 to 70% of the battery, so you're not storing it fully charged or fully drained. So that's how that works. Nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and I think first thing I'll do is I'll get this front tire on, because with the front tire on I can use the kickstand to help keep the bike upright. So I'm going to grab the 15 millimeter wrench, and oh, they changed the size. It's this bigger set, which is the 18. Yeah, but it doesn't even look like that's on there that tight. So and again, you can use scissors or whatever, but just be careful when you're taking all this stuff off. You don't want to scratch the bike. But this turns out that's not even tight, so pull that off. Okay. And I think I'm going to actually go ahead and mount the handlebars first. That'll be the next thing I do. So with the bike like this, okay, what you want to do is you want to spin the stem around, and the way you want to do it, you don't want to loosen this bolt unless you absolutely have to. This goes through to the to hold this whole stem onto this, or the forks onto the bike. So as I turn this, I'm turning it clockwise because I'm tightening this bolt by doing that. If you turn it counterclockwise, you can loosen it. So we probably need to go back through and tighten this eventually, but that's we'll hit that later. But you want to get that stem turned around. And here's our keys. And so I'm just going to get this kind of positioned, ready to roll up. And now we have to pull these brackets off to hold that in place. So now I'm going to grab the 3 millimeter socket, put that on, and then just make sure this frame doesn't tip over on me. So kind of put my leg up here to brace it. This is why I like to use the screwdriver with the attachment here, just because it makes it easy to get these off. You can use that triangle tool that came with the bike if you'd like, but I prefer to use these. Again, you've got 2 of these brackets to pull off, so just okay. Now I'm going to roll these handlebars up and make sure that you get it with the throttle on the right side. Your controls over here on the left, your gear shifter on the right. And then I'm just gonna put this back in here. Got a few things in the way, so it could be a little bit of a challenge, but and this is another important thing. You want to make sure you don't cross thread these, so don't force anything here with these. They're not going in very easily. You don't want to force it. So get one started, and then kind of find the other one, and there it is. And I'm not real worried about where the handlebars are positioned just yet. We'll go back and fine tune them in a bit. Alright. Again, kind of find that sweet spot where that goes in nice and easy. Alright, got all 4 screws now. I'm going to kind of get these kind of close to where I want them, but not crank them down just yet, because we want to fine tune it, you know, to fit the rider when we get this ready. So just kind of get it. We'll go back and get those later. Okay, so now with a bike like this, we're ready to put that front tire on. One more thing I always forget to cut is right down here, so you can see the spacer for this front brake. So once I cut this and pull the spacer out, I don't want to squeeze that brake because it'll pinch those calipers closed. So make sure you're not hitting the brakes after you pull this out. So I like to wait till right before I put the tire on, just to be extra safe. Now you can do this by yourself, or you can have somebody help you. It's a little easier if you have some help, but what you want to do is make sure these are sitting on the outside, these spacers. And then I'm just going to roll this in to where it's sitting on that. It's all the way up in that groove. And now I can put the kickstand down so it won't fall over. So again, I'm going to do this. Let me come out just so you're straight on. So see how I've got it straight up and down, just to make sure it's seated all the way at the top of the notch in the forks. So the tire is running true. So I'm just going to get this one loosely tightened, not loosely tightened, slightly tightened, and come around to this side, do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. And make that sure that's nice and snug. You don't want your front wheel coming off or any action. There we go. Now with that done, go ahead and slide the seat on. So this is pretty easy. Just open this up, set it down in there. And then when you tighten this, if it still is moving, loosen it up and then just spin this around a little bit, like quarter turn or half turn, whatever. And you can just, tighten and adjust it to where it fits to where you want it. Okay. Couple other little places to cut with the dikes real quick. I'll show you that. This is just for protecting the derailleur during the shipping, so I'll cut these off. And now we're ready to put the pedals on. So the pedals, let's see, I'll come at you this way. So let's do this side first. It looks like the chain has come off during shipping, or it wasn't. Okay, now there's a couple of ways to determine. People get confused all the time. Well, which one's right, which one's left? Does it matter? It does. They're threaded differently, and so you can see the direction of the threads on these. See how this one's slanted up and this one's slanted the other way? So it's reverse threaded. There are a couple of other ways to tell which one's which, and I'm going to show you those real quick. So if you look at this, you can see that that's smooth, but if I twist it a little bit, you can see those lines there versus this one's just smooth all the way around. This one's the left. And also if you look inside, if I can get the right lighting, there's a little L down inside there too. Well, there's one right here as well. So there's a few ways to tell. If you can't find the L on it, look, or you can't tell if it's reverse threaded, look for these lines. That's the easiest, most obvious way to tell. So that's going to go on the left side of the bike, and it is reverse threaded. So if we come to the right side, so I'm just going to pull that off before we put this on. And so I got the right side here. And what you want to do with these is just lightly put it in and just kind of, you don't want to force the issues. You're going to kind of find where it starts to grab a bit, and then just twist it in ever so smoothly. Because sometimes you can, if you force the issue with it, you can get them to go, but you're going to be stripping them out. So let's come around to this left side, and we'll do the same thing. So see how this is, say we want to tighten it, you know, instead of lefty loosey, righty tighty, it's the opposite of that. So it's going to be lefty tighty. So pull these stickers off. We can bring that up a bit. And then left side. So we're going this way with this one. And again, we're just kind of finding that spot to where it grabs, twisting it in. If you don't want to, if you're forcing it in, you're going to be cross-threading and causing damage. You're going to end up replacing the crank arm. So don't fight it. It should just slide right in for you. Okay, so now those are in, I'm going to grab the 15mm wrench and crank these down a bit. So I just grab this and just get it nice and extra snug. Come to the other side and just do the same thing. Remember, this is the other way, so just get it. Okay. And now, since the chain has come off, I'm gonna, to put the chain back on, I mean, it's not rocket science, but I'm just gonna grab the derailleur and lift it up, pull it forward. So I've got some slack on the chain, and then just go ahead and walk it around this. So I've got it there, I'm just gonna crank it around until it goes in. And that's that. Now, let's hit the battery real quick. The easiest way I found to do with it, to cut this plastic off, is just kind of come down this little groove right here. It's on this side of this that fits onto the frame. That comes off, and then you've got some protective plastic again. All right, so now with this, we've got the key. I'm going to cut the key off. So the keys are mounted right here on the handlebars. So they're zip tied right here. So I'm just, you know, be very careful doing this. Again, this is why I like to use these nips and not a knife or something, so I can just get in there and cut that off. So 2 keys come with the bike. Take one. I like to keep one in the garage where I keep my bikes. The other one I put in a safe so I don't lose them. If you lose them, they have to go all the way back to the battery manufacturer to get a replacement. So it's not a good time for anybody. So just make sure you don't lose the keys. Okay, then to mount the battery, you can see it's got some grooves right here, and there's the battery mounted down inside. I don't know if you can get that, Jaden, if you want to swing around. Yeah, you can see where that battery sits down on top of those. So I'm just gonna kind of set it down in there until it finds those grooves, and then the battery just rolls up in, and it just locks like that. And then you can lock it onto the bike and the key comes out. The key will not come out of the bike if it's not locked. So if the key's out of the bike, it's locked. So if it's locked, then you won't be able to put the battery in either. So once you get it locked onto the bike, you can twist it to loosen this up, and then you have this little switch right here. This little tab is what releases the battery. So I've got it unlocked, and then the battery just comes out. And that's how you get the battery on. Make sure we get this stem area all tightened down. So I've got, I think it's the 3 and the 4, maybe the 4 and the 5, I'm not sure. So I'm just sitting on the bike and I'm looking down at making sure the handlebars are straight with the tire. And I'm just gonna go ahead and well, first thing I wanna do is I wanna tighten the stem bolt. So I'm gonna come in here and it's just a little loose, nothing too bad. But if this gets too loose, you're gonna have some movement between the fork and the frame here and that stem area. So Just want to make sure that's nice and tight. Now with that tight, I'm just going to hit this side, tighten that up, and this side as well. And now when I ride, the handlebars won't be going every which way. So one thing you want when you're riding, you want a straight line all the way from your shoulder blade down to your fingertips. So when your hands are on these grips and your fingers are straight, they want to be right on top of the brake levers. So this actually isn't too bad, because if it's twisted too far back, you're going to be riding like this with extra pressure on your wrist, which you don't want. And the same thing if it's too far forward. So this actually isn't too bad for where I'm at. Again, depending on your seat height, how tall you are, you can make those adjustments. And then once you find out where that's it, you get it honed in. We're going to go ahead and tighten these handlebars, and we will be set and ready to roll. So find my 3mm wrench here. So this is good for me. I'm just going to go in and make the final tightening right there. Yeah, make sure these are nice and snug, because you don't want to be riding the bike and hit the brakes and have your handlebars roll forward on you. So you don't have to crank them down super tight, but get them nice and snug. Go ahead and reconnect these. So this is going to be your brake cutoff. So you can just see how there's see that little tab right there that goes into that groove. So I'm just going to line that up and then push it in. There are some arrows here. They're really hard to see usually, so I like to just line up the tabs and then just roll around. All right, and then this guy right there. Okay, so now we've got this wire down here goes to the headlight, so we're going to go ahead and roll this on. So again, line up the tab with the groove and just push it on. If you feel any pressure or anything, there's 3 wires in there. If it's not going in really, I mean, it shouldn't, if you're having to fight it, then you just want to double check and make sure none of the pins are getting bent or something. So let's give this a check. It's working. Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead and install this light because we don't have the rack and fender set to install on this. So this, I believe, is a 4 or 5. It's a 4. And the headlight, some people mount it behind, some people mount it in front. I don't think there's really a wrong way to do it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this one in front. And with the rack and fender set, like I said, you'll maybe swapping it around once you get the rack and fender set. So let's kind of get this started, hand tight, and when it starts to grab, put the wrench on this, and then I'm just going to kind of hold this light because it's going to try to turn as I crank it down. So, and then if you're worried about this wire, rubbing down here, you can always either grab a little zip tie, or you can maybe work one of these down and just incorporate this wire into this bundle of wires up here, just to keep it off. Make sure it's going to stay off that tire, because it looks like this cord's a little long. So I'm just going to go like this, get this started, and it's just a matter of wrapping it around, and that kind of helps keep everything together and keep that wire off that tire. Okay, and with that, the only thing left to do real quick, if you want to do this extra step, is we're just going to run through the shifter and make sure that it's good to go. So I'm just going to swing the bike around here so you guys can see this. Okay, so your shifter up here, you got your thumb shifter pushes you up a gear, and then your trigger finger pulls it down a gear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pedaling down here. I'm going to lean it on the kickstand. If you want to come down here, Jaden, just so we can see the down here in this area. So what we're going to do is I'm going to shift it all the way down. Okay, and I'm just gonna go up one. So see, it didn't shift up that time. So what we want to do is take this barrel adjuster and we want to go that way. So I'm going to just twist it like maybe one turn, and then I'm going to go pedal again. Go. So I'm all the way down. Go up one. See, not shifted. Go up again. I'm just going to see if it makes sure it shifts. So every time I see it's not going again. So I'm going to give it another maybe half turn this time. Go all the way back to the bottom. Start again. Up. Up. Good. There we go. Maybe give it another half turn. This is just a real basic adjustment you can do at home. If it needs more than this, you can take it to a bike shop if you're not comfortable making the adjustments. But this is a real basic, easy way to just do it at home. You can just with this barrel adjuster right here. So just again, make sure it goes up. If it struggles, then just give it a little turn. Alrighty, and that is that. And this bike is set up and ready to roll, and with the 24-inch tires, I love it. It's a nice, mediocre bike. It's not too big. It's bigger than the 20-inch step-throughs that a lot of people have, so this should be a great bike.